Hello friends, and welcome to this crochet tutorial. Well, I'll show you how to make the love letter handbag. You'll notice that we have a little heart that hasn't been crocheted in the making of the flap for our handbag. I also used a scarf where I placed knots in it as the strap. Of course, you can use anything you would like, but I thought this would add to the touch. If you're in the United States, I purchased this at the dollar store. So, come join me and let's get started on making this love letter handbag. The materials and the tools that we will be using to make this love letter handbag suitably with red heart yarns. Here I have cherry red and soft white. I have a tapestry needle. Here I'm using sew-on magnetic buttons. I have 2 of them, and I have needle and thread to sew them on with. My hook size is a 4.5 millimeter, and you'll also need a pair of scissors. For the handle, I'm using a scarf that I purchased at the dollar store. But if you choose to make your own, this is approximately 10 inches wide by 4 feet long, which is 48 inches. All right, let's get started. So before we begin, the whole bag is done with 2 strands of the yarn. So here we have 1, and if you go to the center, you'll find number 2. So let me show you. My white is already set up. What you want to do is you want to take the cover off and then take the one from the outside and the one from the center pull, and we're going to start joining them together to make a ball of yarn. You need to do this with a full skein of white. In this case, I should have said it at the beginning, this is 7 ounces of yarn. And for the cherry red, we don't use all of it, but this is 7 ounces as well. But do this for the white and the red so that you have double strand when you crochet the whole time we're making our bag. We're going to start making the side panels, the front panels, back panels, and the bottom panels. So let's start off with a short tail and place a slip knot on our tail, on our hook here. Chain 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to skip that first chain there, and in the second chain, single crochet. Continue single crochet till you get to the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. You should have a total of 8 single crochets in this row. Chain 1, and let's turn our work, and we're going to do 8 single crochets again with a chain 1. We're going to do this until we have a total of 20 rows. That'll include the first row we started when you do your count. To make our first single crochet in the next row, you have your chain here. We're skipping the chain, and into that first stitch, single crochet. Oops. Always make sure you get your 2 strands. It happens to me too. Okay, so we have our 8th single crochet, chain 1, turn our work, and continue on. After 20 rows, come back and meet me. So let's pause our video and create the total of 20 rows. At the end of 20 rows, just leave a short tail. Let's go ahead and cut it and pull it through. Okay, we're going to need a second one. So go ahead and make a second one, and then we'll move on to the bottom panel. So here I have the 2 side pieces, and I think you'll notice how with the double yarn it is a little stiff. That's what we're looking for. I tried it with the 1 strand of yarn and it was just too floppy and it wouldn't maintain its shape. So this is the reason why we're using the double yarn. So here's the 2 sides. We're going to work on our bottom piece here. So I have a slip knot on my hook. Let's go ahead and chain 9. I think that first one I might have made a little too tight. Let me loosen that up. Okay, so let's chain 9, and then we're going to do 8 single crochets across, chain 1 turn, and we're going to do this for 32 rows. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and single crochet, 8 across, chain 1 turn. Alright, so after 32 rows, which should definitely be longer than these, I'll meet you there. I think we're making great progress. These panels right here haven't taken me that long. Probably about a half an hour to do these 3 panels. So here we have our sides and our bottom. Now we're going to do our center front and center back panel. These are 2 separate panels as well. And so what we're going to do, we're going to chain 31, and then we're going to skip the first chain and have 30 chains across, and we will do this for a total of 20 rows. Please make 2 of them, and I will see you then. You don't need to see me chain 31 and single crochet again. So that's the reason why I'm cutting it short on that. But I will show you the 2 completed panels here in just a minute. So please pause your video and go ahead and make the 2 panels. Well, that took a little bit of time, didn't it? These bigger pieces took me a little bit more time than I expected. So here's all the pieces for the bag. What we're going to do now is we're going to take just 1 strand of yarn, and I want you to recognize what is the last row you did. That last row should have a chain across the top. The first row will have like a little scallop look. So what we're going to do is for these side pieces, we're going to start up here at the top, and we're going to do 1 single crochet per row all the way down to the bottom. And then once we get it down to the bottom, we're going to go across and up to the other side and stop. For the bottom piece, we're going to go 1 stitch all the way around on the sides along the bottom until you get all the way around. For the front and back of the bag, here's our last row. You can tell by the little chain stitch up here. We're going to go single crochet, 1 per row, all the way to the bottom, come across, and up to the other side. We're going to do the same thing to both pieces. So let's get a slip knot on our hook, and I'm going to show you how to add the single crochet border on the small piece. Alright, so I have a slip knot on my hook. And place our tail in the back. We're going to come up here and pick up into that first stitch. Draw up a loop, yarn over through both loops on the hook. Bring your tail around, and on the next stitch we'll start securing that in. Now you can see here's row 2, but you see that little hole right there? That's where we're going to stick our hook. There's number 2. I'm going to go down here to the next one, and also I'm picking up my tail. So here's number 3. Oops. Here's number 4. Okay, so we're going to go all the way down. We're going to have 20, and then we're going to use the stitching on the bottom. We're going to go 8, and then you can bring your tail with this one, and we'll do 20 up here, and then we'll finish this one off. Do that to all the other pieces, how I showed you how to do it in a few minutes ago, and then we will move on to finishing the envelope part, and then we'll move on to the flap. So here you see we got a real nice finish around, but we still have these ends. Let's go ahead, use our tapestry needle, and on the back side find your stitching, and weave it in. Go ahead and do this to all of your loose ends, and then I'll show you how to attach to make the envelope portion. There we go. Alright, so now that we have all our pieces edged, you notice how they lay a lot flatter. There's no curling, no problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our red, place a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to start joining pieces. We're going to start with the bottom first. So let's go ahead and get that done. I'm using my phone with my GoPro, so that's why you're hearing ding noises. Alright, so I brought the camera up closer. I wanted you to see you have your right side of your stitching, and then you have your back side. You want your right side facing up, and then on a side piece you want the stitching, not the top stitching, but the bottom stitching, and we're going to place the two wrong sides together. All right, then we're going to go to those end loops here, like so. We're going to go through the top and the bottom pick up both parts of that chain. I'm going to take this, make it about the size of the hook. There we go. I'm going to pull it through. Everybody wants me today. And then we're going to take our tail and put it on the inside. Okay. Then go to the second loop on both pieces here. Bring the red yarn through both of those, and then through the one that's on the hook. Okay, and we're going to do that just for the 8 stitches here. So here's, we did number 1, we're on number 2, here's number 3. Okay, so we're going to do this total of 8 times. And you don't want it too tight, but you do want it firm enough so that it doesn't have an opening. Now, this bag does not have to be lined. It can be if you choose. If you don't, it's okay. Okay, so the last one, we're just going to pull it through, and then we'll bring it around and it'll go onto the inside. So this is the side. This will be on the top. This will be on the bottom. Okay, because that'll be the bottom of the bag. So we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. Bring our 2 wrong sides together and do the same thing here. Like I said, I'm popular today. Okay, and I'm going just at my regular speed, not trying to race, but I do want to make sure I pick up all the stitches that I need. Okay. Yep, that's it. Okay, now even though we're tucking these on the inside, we will weave them in before we move on. So to weave them in, let's thread our tapestry needle. I'm going to go on to the back side of these single crochet stitches. Okay, now before you pull it through, look to the front. Make sure that the needle's not really poking through. Okay, and then I'm going to go over 1. You go through the same hole, you'll lose what you just did. So go over 1 and out through the other side. And that'll lock that stitch in. Looks like the hook wants to get in and have some action here. I know I have a lot of bloopers and a lot of funny stuff going on when I make my videos anymore. It's like, oh, I want to be a part of the show too. Woohoo! Okay, so go through some, over 1, and back out. And for those of you who do choose to make this for Valentine's, I hope you have a beautiful and wonderful day. And if you don't, it'll be perfect for just enjoying having a bag with a heart. Go ahead and do the second side, and we'll show you how to attach the front and back panels. All right, so I want you to take note. We have straight lines on the bottom and chain stitches on the side when you look at the panels. This is what we're looking for. So when we do our next attachment, we're going to have the same thing. Okay, so the chain stitch will be in the front, while the straight stitch will be on the inside, because when we look at the bag, we're going to be looking at it like so. Okay, so make sure your chain stitch is on the top, your single crochet from the one thread is here on the bottom. Line it up, and we're going to insert the hook the same way we did before. And go into that last stitch. Okay, make sure you pick up 2. And then we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. Leave a little bit longer tail this time, because there will be a lot of work going on there. So I'm leaving probably about 5 or 6 inch tail. Place it on your hook and then tighten it up some. Go ahead and pull that loop through, and I'm going to leave it on the outside this time because we're going to go ahead and weave it in later. Okay, so now we're going to go to our second one. So you want to pick up the second chain on both, pull it through the chain on the hook, or the hook. Oh, I got too much going on in my head. Okay, so we pull it through, pull up a loop, and then pull it through the loop on the hook. There we go, and you can see the chain stitch here. And try to keep it loose but firm. This is what's holding the bag together. Well, Michael's Arts and Crafts wants me now. I'll probably get one from Joann's here in just a few minutes. Seems like they're in competition, even in text messaging and emails. They've been having some really good sales here lately at Michael's and Joann's especially. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going all the way down. So when you get down here to the corner, I'm going to meet you there. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to continue here, and then we can go the next direction. All right, I just completed 20 of this chain edging here. So now I'm going to turn the bag and into the next chain, and you can see here where we didn't pick up a chain, that's where we want to start again. Okay, and then we're going to go all the way down to the other end and do the same thing, and look how it gives a nice little square finish. So go ahead and do that all the way down to this end. When you get to the edge here, go ahead and finish the way we did on the sides, and then do the back piece, and I'll meet you so that we can do the top edging, and then we'll do the flap. Now, doesn't that look nice? See, the edges got straight lines. Okay, and we got both sides done. All right, since there's really no designated front or back, we're going to finish this edge off here before we start our flap. So with a single strand of red, I'm going to find the approximate center in the back with a slip knot on your hook, insert the hook through the top of the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through. And what we've done is we've completed our first single crochet. But for this particular round, we're going to do the reverse single crochet. Give it a little change in an edge instead of the regular single crochet. So you want to go back into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Okay, you notice how the loop that was on the hook is right here. Okay, can you see right here? And the one we pulled up is right here in front. So yarn over and pull through the both. And then we're going to insert the hook into the next stitch going back, pull up a loop, yarn through the both. And gives it a little twisty edge right here. So go ahead and do that all the way around. Slip stitch into the first single crochet here, and then we'll be ready to move on to our flap. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so let's take our red yarn, if you haven't done it already, and we need to double it up. So let's go ahead and start doubling up our yarn for the red, and I'll show you how to start the flap. So with a relatively short tail, let's place a slip knot onto our hook, and we're going to chain 22. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue till you have 22. Please pause your video. So after you have a chain of 22, let's skip our first chain, and in the second chain, single crochet. Continue across till you have 21 single crochets to the end of our chain. At the end of the 21 single crochets, chain 1, turn your work. We're going to skip this first chain, and in this first stitch, single crochet, and then single crochet in every stitch across. You should have 21 single crochets when you get to the end of the row. And I'll meet you right here. Please pause your video. Alright, so we're going to start our pattern now. So let's chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to do half of the heart at one time until we get it built up, and then we'll come over and do the other half. So if it looks like, what are we doing here? That's what we're doing. Okay, so in our first stitch, single crochet, and let's do 8 more single crochets for a total of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right, our next stitch will cover the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do a single crochet decrease. So pull up a loop in the first stitch, pull up a loop in the second stitch, kind of make them a little loose, and then yarn over, aim your hook down, and pull through all 3 of those loops on the hook, and chain 1. And this will start the shaping of our heart. So let's turn in our work, stretch it just a little bit. Okay, we're not going to go into here. This is our first stitch right here. we're going to go across and do 10 single crochets. So here's 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to bore you. Finish off to the end of the row, making sure you have 10 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. This time we're going to do 8 single crochets and 1 decrease at the end. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Making sure you get those double strands. 7 and 8. Whoops. I'm doing it again. Oh. Alright. We have 2 stitches left. So insert hook, pull up a loop. Insert hook in the last stitch, pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Chain 1, turn your work. You see how we're starting to show that little curve in the bottom of there? Okay, so now we're going to do 9 single crochets across with a chain 1 at the end. I've completed the 9 with the chain 1, so let's turn our work. We're going to do 7 single crochets and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and decrease in those last 2 stitches. Oops, make sure you pull up about double strand. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, and so this is what we have so far. You see how that nice shape of the heart from the bottom up. And then on this row we're going to have 8 single crochets with a chain 1 and turn your work, and I'll meet you there. So for this row we're going to do 6 single crochets and 1 decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with our decrease. Pull through all 3, chain 1 and turn. And on this row we'll do 7 single crochets, chain 1 and turn your work, and I'll meet you there. So please pause your video. Now this row will be starting the comeback for the curve of the heart. So let's do 7 across, 7 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Okay, we're going to add 1 more stitch into the 7th, but we want to come out on the other side of this little loop here. I know it's going to be a little tight. Pick up as many stitches as you can and add that extra single crochet. You see how it curves it out just a little bit more, because if it was back here it really wouldn't do what it's supposed to do. Then let's chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to do 8 single crochets across, and I will meet you there. Okay, so chain 1, turn your work. Okay, so this time we're going to go across and we're going to add 9 single crochet. 1, 2, hang on, my yarn's getting messed up. Okay, so here's 3, 4, 5, oops, 6, 7, missing it again, 8, and then like we did for row 7, or the 7, we're going to make this one our 9th stitch. So we have this, see how it's starting to curve back? Okay, and we want to add another stitch. So into the 9th stitch right here, you're going to take that stitch and basically pick up half of it, and we're going to make this another single crochet in there. So you can see how it curved over even more. Okay, hoping my lighting is okay. My other light bit the dust, and I haven't been able to go to the store because I've been working so much. Okay, so we have basically 10 single crochets in this row. Now, I would like for you to leave a long tail. I would say maybe 18, 24 inches, just to be on the safe side. More if you think you need more. And then let's go ahead and finish this off here. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So we're going to be starting down here, and you notice how this row right here is the back side, which means we're going to be starting here. So with a short tail, so that way we can stitch over our tail, place a slip knot on your hook, and we're going to start off with a decreased stitch. So hold your finger on your hook, and in the last stitch that has those stitches in it right there, insert it again, pull up a loop, insert it into the next one, and pull up a loop, yarn over and through all of them. I guess it would have been easier if I had put the tail underneath there. Okay, well, I'm going to do a few stitches and then I'll weave it in. Okay, and so we're going to single crochet the rest of the row, which we should have 9 single crochets. Let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So go ahead and do the 9 single crochets, and if you did like I did, just go ahead and take your tapestry needle and weave it in so you can do it the rest of the row. And I'll meet you at the end of the row. My blooper again. Okay, so let's chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to do 10 single crochets across. Go ahead and do your 10, and I'll meet you right here in the center of the row. Chain 1, turn your work. In these first 2 stitches, decrease, eight single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. I'll meet you there. This row, 9 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. Decrease, over the first 2 stitches, 7 single crochets across. When you get to the end of the row, chain 1 and turn. Eight single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. Decrease in the first 2 stitches, 6 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. Seven single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. In our chain 1 space, okay, well, here's our loop on our hook, our chain 1 space. Let's place a single crochet, and continue with 7 single crochets across. So you can go directly into your next stitch. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That makes it so we have a total of 8 in this row because we added 1 to the chain. Okay, so let's turn our work. Go ahead and do the 8 single crochets and I'll meet you there. Okay, so here's our 8th single crochet and here's the loop from the chain. So we want to go on the other side of that loop and place 1 more single crochet. That'll cause it to flare over a little like we're trying to do. Okay, so let's chain 2 this time, turn our work. We're going to skip that first chain, and in the second chain, single crochet. Now it will be a little tricky because you don't really have any stitching underneath that chain, so be patient with it. So here's 1. We will have a total of 9 single crochet on this row. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, looks like we're going to have 10. Yeah, we are. We're going to have 10. Sorry. Okay, 9 and 10. Chain 1 and turn. So let's look and see what we have so far. You see how it's starting to curve over? Okay. Don't worry. It'll look like a heart when we're done. So you notice the last row that we have here, this is the back side and this is the back side. Okay, so we don't want to cut this yarn here. So go ahead and make a large loop or place something in it that'll make it so you don't lose your stitches. Now if you go back to this one here, let's go ahead and take this loop out. And we're going to join the center here. So enlarge that loop and let's place our hook in it. Okay, and we're going to chain 1. Okay, and then we're going to join this end right here with a slip stitch. Okay, so that'll join and make it so that we have a straight row with the proper amount of stitches going all the way across. Okay, then we're going to take this, flip it upside down, and I got my yarn on the wrong side of the hook. This is the fun part, right? Okay, so we're going to chain one, and we're going to use the last two here and the last two over here, and we're going to make single crochets. So here's one, two, over onto the other side of that chain. I'm going to pick up part of that stitch. This is number 3, and the next one's number 4. Okay, chain 1. Let's turn our work. Okay, take a look at what you have so far. Okay, you see how it filled the top in. So now we're going to do 3 single crochet together for a decrease. So here we got this 1, 2, and 3. So let's pull up a loop, pull up another loop, and one more time, and this will be the center of that heart. Okay, and that's why I said I wanted you to pull off quite a bit of yarn to make sure that we had enough. Okay. We might have to shape it just a little bit using our tapestry needle, but you can see the shape of the heart here. Okay. So if yours looks a little creative like mine does, use the long yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and do that to add a little shape to the point. I'm going to go ahead and pick up that loop right here. And there, that looks a lot better. Okay, so you can see how it comes around, and this one comes around. And I'm going to go ahead and weave this back. I know this is not your normal way of doing crochet stuff, but I was trying to make a cutout heart. I think it looks okay. All right. What do you think? Do you like that? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take this yarn. I'm going to go ahead and put it underneath these stitches right here. There we go. Okay, so here's our heart. Cut that close to the edge. And we are ready to finish our flap. Now remember, we started out with 21 stitches. So as we go across, we want to make sure that we get our 21 stitches. And we also want to make sure we get our double yarn too. Okay, here we go. So if you need to count first, count. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's this 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay? So go ahead and do 21. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So you can see on my demo bag here how the heart looked and how the heart looks for the one that we are making. We're going to continue with the 21 stitches across for a total of, I'm going to have to count them. I thought I wrote it down. Please hold on. Thank you for waiting. We're going to add 15 rows to what we already have, and that'll finish the size of our flap, and then we will sew it on to the back of our handbag here, and then we'll add our scarf strap. So after our additional 15 rows, I would like for you to leave a long tail, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to sew this with this tail to the back of the handbag. So I'm going to take out quite a bit here. Hopefully that'll be plenty. I'm going to say about 3 feet, 36 inches. And then for your last part of your stitch, go ahead and pull it all through. So one of the things that I didn't include in my material list was red thread. We're going to be using the thread to sew our magnets on, because these are sew-on magnets. Okay, so you have a back and a front. There we go. With fingernails, it don't pull apart too easily, but they do snap together as such. So I'm going to take the button end. You see one has a little lip on it. The other one is the button end. Take a look at the front. Make sure that the first row is the right side row. So we're going to go ahead and place these on the back. And to do so, the button aims up, and then we're just going to sew a little whip stitch to hold them down in place. So we'll have one on this side and one on this side. So I've threaded my needle, and you can see I'm picking up part of the stitching. You don't want your stitches to show on the front side. So we're just going to wrap around this a couple of times and then skim the stitching to where we need to go to the other side here. And yes, your thread will get caught up in your work. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and do that to all 4 sides. Finish your knot, knot the end, and then do it here onto the other side. Please pause your video. So after you have your magnets sewn on, let's place the front flap on the bag where you would like to have it. I came up 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and I came over so that my stitching look even here. Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 stitches, 3 stitches. Okay, then we're gonna fold it over. Make sure our top and bottom is even. Don't fold it tight. Leave it with just a little tiny lip so that if you need to expand on this, you can, but the bag is designed to have it folded when it's in the closed position. Then we're going to come over here and do the same thing, having 3 stitches on one side and 3 stitches on the other. And then you see how you have your lines. Line it up. Okay. And of course I need my pin cushion, and it fell behind my table here. So I'm going to use an additional tapestry needle that I have just to pin it in place. Okay, and fold it over and say, yes, this is where I want it. Okay, then let's take my other tapestry needle, and we're just going to do a basic running stitch. We're going to do 2 rows. That's why you wanted to have the extra amount of yarn. So once you lay it down flat, this line here should follow the line on your bag. Okay, so let's take our little flap and raise it up. We're going to start back here. Okay. I'm going to pull all this yarn through. Now remember, I'm on a camera, so it's my camera stand is like right here in front of me, so sometimes my yarn and everything gets caught up. Do know that as you do this for your bag, you don't have a camera in front of you, so it will be a lot easier to pull all this through. All right, so I'm going to go back a stitch, and I'm going to skip a stitch, okay, so we're doing like a back tack stitch. It's kind of like a running stitch, but it'll help hold this flap down really good. And like I said, since I'm in front of the camera, I don't want to hit the camera. That's the reason why it's hard for me to pull my needle through. Okay, so your stitches should hide right behind the chain looking part of your stitches when you completed your single crochet row. Okay, so go ahead and do this all the way across, and you see these little lines right here. We're going to go over the top of those as well. So you do 1 row and then do the 2nd row, and we'll be done sewing on the flap. Then I'll show you how to attach the front buttons for the front of the purse, and then we'll add our strap and we'll be done. So now with the flap sewn on, we're going to take our little button with the little lump on it. We're going to place it down, and be careful because these things will stick together. So place it approximately where you want it to go. You see I got my finger holding it down there. and then we're going to go ahead and sew it on with white thread. Once you get this one down, you can bring it down and close it, and then follow it straight across to where it needs to go for the other side, and you can sew that down as well. Now, doesn't that look nice having it all in place? Notice how simple the magnets come up. Of course, when they see each other, they want to get back together. So here's our flap sewn on. Let's move on to our strap. I did a little digging of my collection of Valentine scarves. This one has hearts, and it says choose kindness. Whoops, I hit my camera, didn't I? The other one has trucks with hugs and kisses on it. Okay, the one that says choose kindness is quite a bit longer than this one. So we're going to go with the one with the trucks on it. And what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to do this. The scarf as a strap is totally up to you. I like it. If you would like a chain or a chain stitch from yarn, the chain that I was talking about, you could use like a metal chain or something like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up probably the length of your hand. It doesn't have to be exact. Bring the right ends together so that the right side is showing, and then we're just going to place a little overhand knot. Okay, over time, of course, this will tighten up. And then we're going to go across to the other side. And at the same distance, you want to bring it together like you did in your hand and tie another knot. I don't know if you heard me sneeze, but if you did, I'm sorry. Sometimes a lot of yarn and fibers makes me want to sneeze. Okay, so we're going to place another overhand knot. And then as you kind of go through the width of it, you can bring it together and place another overhand knot. Doesn't have to be exact. We're not making square knots here. Okay, let's go over here. Place another knot. Now, however many knots you place is up to you. Okay, this is going to be the shoulder area, so I'm not going to place a knot up there. Now we're going to take these ends here, bring them together, and then I'm going to take my thread. I'm going to open the side, place it in there, and tack it down through here. Make sure that when you bring it over to the other side that it's not twisted. So go ahead and do that, and do it for the other side, and then you have completed your bag. So here I have sewn on my straps. I just did a quick running stitch to hold it down. And here we have our magnetic buttons. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. You know, it doesn't have to be just for Valentine's Day. It can be because you want to have something with a heart on it or whatever. So, I appreciate you being with me and in the journey of making this bag. I really enjoy doing this. So, till next time, take care and bye-bye.